Aaron's going to be like, I got a story I need to tell real quick.
That was just one time.
Welcome to the
Pepperidge Farm?
the Five Live
You
Bears
didn't want to testify
podcast.
before Congress.
Shut up, Aaron. Welcome to the Five Live Bears podcast. We're going to do our best tonight to not let Aaron talk about a weird comic book he read. But we're glad you're here with us tonight in the basement. We may be changing locations
Yes.
here in a few weeks.
We're going outside to the backyard.
A non-disclosed
in the
location.
A
thunderstorms.
non-disclosed location.
We will not be providing the address of the new location.
It's
is.
located at...
It's the second
Well,
den.
we can't give the location. We give the phone number. It's 502-867-5309.
No, wait, we don't want to do that.
Jenny?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a good one.
Ironically, his wife's name.
But that's not her number.
He just gave out
Yeah,
Brian.
thanks.
That's not her number.
He paid a lot of money to get that number. Anyways, welcome to the Five Live Bears podcast. We are glad you're here tonight. We are going to be talking TV shows. Again, if you were here with us last week, we talked about TV shows that were canceled. If you did not listen to that podcast, push pause right now. Go listen to the other podcast. It's amazing. It's the best thing you've ever listened to. I can't actually guarantee that, but it's worth a listen. But we're going to talk tonight about some more TV shows. But before we do that, around the room, how's everybody doing? John, last week of school for you.
Yes, it was. We're on half days. We will be when this actually gets put out. So I'll be
in the future.
I'll be happy. It's almost over for me for another year. And I mean, the thing about it is that people, if you're not inside the educational system, which
Academia.
If you're not an academic
I went-
like me.
I went private school. I mean, I went
him on
totally
a team
private
show.
school. Not a public school guy, but I went private. It's one of these jobs to where you work. You're in the classroom. People think that's where it ends. Would
Sorry,
you
guys.
use? Would you two use the equipment? I got you.
It keeps twisting.
It's kind of like loose a
Oh
little
my
bit tonight,
gosh!
so,
I'm
you
gonna
know.
turn you two down until you. Are y'all ready? Y'all
Brian
got
and
it.
Charlie playing with their microphones.
All right. Well, anyways, it's not like a 8 in the morning to 3 o'clock job. You usually work from 7:30 in the morning till 7:30 or 8 o'clock every night, getting prepped and getting things ready for the next day. So it's, and then you got the responsibility of having to deal with other people's kids all the time. So
I love it.
I do. Well, I do like it. I mean, I love what I do. It's fun, but it's time for a break, man. It's
Here
definitely
comes
time for
the
a
summer
break.
break. John's going to spend hours and hours standing in front of the TV watching shows.
How many seasons of baseball do you think you'll play on the PlayStation?
Well, I'm getting ready to start a new one. The new season starts
With
up
the
here in the next
Louisville
couple weeks.
splashbacks.
Well, the my NBA 2K18 season's about to end. Well, it actually is over. My Louisville Storm didn't make it into the playoffs. We lost it. We were out. So it should be not too long. I'm thinking about getting a new one though. I'm thinking about getting a new baseball. The
MLB
the show 18. It's got some new stuff on it. So I don't know. Anyway, so I get all of June and July off. It's cool because we still get a paycheck and we get paid for it. Get some time off. So I'll start prepping for next year.
Gonna work on
July.
the tan this summer.
No, I don't take my shirt off or anything.
Never knew.
Nope.
Charlie, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. This week I did a lot of exciting things. I went skydiving. I went mountain climbing.
You rode a
2.7 seconds on the bull named Fu Manchu. I did not love Deeper though.
Oh well, yeah, that's true. We
Did you scale the volcano?
We-
And
we found that out about you pre-podcast
Yes.
last week that you don't go the love route anymore.
No. I also
You're the Jughead. I think
I'm
is
the
the
Jughead of
reference
this
you made.
podcast.
Jughead, Aaron. Do you get that reference, Aaron?
I got it.
Thank you, Aaron, and thank you for not explaining it too. I also was born in a crossfire hurricane. That happened too this week.
The Crossfire Hurricane?
Yeah, I was making a reference
Like
to Jumping
the old-
Jack Flash.
The old show or the old game?
Crossfire.
Crossfire. Crossfire. Did you have that
The
game?
one kid got shot and fell into the lake of fire and died.
Yes.
The commercials.
is that what happened on the commercials?
Yeah.
Yes.
I used to have that game, Crossfire.
we did
Of course
too.
you did.
I used to have that big floor battleship game too.
Of
That
course you did.
Axis and
uh,
Allies.
no,
Oh.
we played that. This was one that you laid out a map on the floor and you had these ships and you shot these little like quarter size discs at the other person's ships, and it blew the tops off of them. And if you blew up the battleship, then you won. Yeah, I had that too.
Do you have like personal servants moving the boats around too? And
It's
stuff?
like,
will
jizz.
you please move that?
Charles, could you move to A6?
Brian, what's going on in your life, sir?
Not much. Not much.
Not much.
Living the
Still
dream.
living the dream.
Yep.
How is father of 3? Is it much different than father of 2?
It is just because of the difference of age. Like we're still now we're back to the not sleeping all the way through the night type of thing. So,
But you did explain to us a few weeks back that you are a super sleeper or something where you don't require sleep.
yeah, usually 6 hours or less, and I'm pretty much up and going in the morning.
You're a terrible human being.
6:30 every day.
Nope. 9:30 every night.
That would be amazing.
I wouldn't even know what to do. If
I
got in
wouldn't
bed at 9:30. Like
either.
I literally wouldn't. I'd be like,
I'm in bed by 9:30.
Just hold it. Just hold it right up to your face.
He's having a really bad night with the microphones.
we're just not feeling it tonight. we're not jiving.
And all the way from Mesquite, Texas, home of mesquite chips. Aaron, how are
Where
you?
they come from?
No, not really. I made that up.
Doing pretty good. I've been reading an X-Men book called Grand Design. It's pretty fantastic.
Gosh, here we go.
Basically, they're putting the whole history of X-Men into 6 issues, so it's pretty crazy.
Thank you, Aaron. We really appreciated that.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, tonight we are going to talk about TV shows you would like to see come back from the dead. There has been a recent trend of wait your turn, Jughead. Just wait a second. There's been a recent trend of older TV shows that went off the air that have came back on the air with not a reboot, not a recast. It's the same original cast. It's just years later in their life. We saw it first with Fuller House. I think that was really the first one that kicked it off. Will and Grace, X-Files. Roseanne is now a semi-big hit, although they just had a big controversy on that show that might get them in trouble. But I'll tell you
Explain
later.
off air, yeah.
Yeah, there was a racial profiling, basically.
Oh, yeah, I saw that in the
That's
trailer.
Roseanne, though. You
I mean,
expect
yeah.
that on this show. But anyway, so I thought it would be a great idea. What older TV show would you like to see come back to see what that family or what that station or whatever it might be are doing years later? I thought about setting up some parameters, but I was like, we'll just let it go because
We'll play it by ear.
Charlie did try to go off the rails in Bear Chat about one TV show, but we'll let it go. So what show would you like to see come back and kind of explain your reasoning behind it and where you would like to see it? Let's start with Aaron.
I'm going to go with Muppets Tonight. It was a fantastic show that was canceled way too soon.
But I agree with you.
Which
Even-
Muppets Tonight? The second? Or
The one with the one with Clifford as the host that introduced Seymour and Pepe and all that. It was really
It was a
great.
good one. That one episode you and I laughed at for so long about the what do you cross? What do you
Elephant.
get?
Rhino and elephant.
Cross an elephant with a
Yes.
rhino? I don't know why I laughed at that joke
Because
so
it's
hard.
hilarious.
You
That's
had,
why.
you had to explain it to me at first because I was like, I don't get why you're laughing so hard. Like you can't even talk.
Because you're pure as the driven snow,
I
Brian.
guess
That's
so.
why.
And I was like, oh,
And that set Brian down the road.
Like,
He's
if-
been-
that was when my life fell apart.
If Jesus came back and needed to set up his disciples, you would be the first
Stop.
person he came to.
You know,
maybe.
No, I'm not.
I
I'm
would have
not
been
being
like,
facetious.
I would have been like
I-
14 or 15 on the list.
No, I'm saying like no. You would have been number 1, but he would have to like go through a security checkpoint to do your work. Go to HR.
Aaron, what would you like to see going on Muppets Tonight? Anything different? Same Muppets?
I just want the
As
the
a
Muppets
Pepe.
to go back to a variety show, not this stupid reboot they did recently. Just get back to doing,
Like the Muppet
having
Show
great
in
guests.
modern
And,
day.
yeah.
Just do Muppet stuff.
Bring Alice Cooper back.
Do you think? Would you like them to find out what happened to Skeeter? Scooter's.
We don't
sister.
talk about Skeeter.
Talk about Nanny dying on that episode of Muppet Babies. Sorry, Aaron and I found that funny. All right, thanks, Aaron. Any other shows, or you're just good with the Muppet Show?
I'll stick with the Muppet Show.
All right, Charlie.
I've got a couple,
That's
and
fine. That's fine.
I've got some parameters to set up.
All right, parameters.
There are a lot of shows that I don't want to see come back for a full run, but there are several that I do want to see come back for like one episode to kind of get that recap. Number one on the list would be ER. That was just a great show, and I'd like to see those characters again. Also, NBC could kind of do that, though, because they have Chicago Med, which is set in the same universe as ER.
Is it really?
Yeah. So those characters could come in to Chicago Med anytime they want.
How did they set that up that they're in the same universe my wife watches?
Because it's the same producer, and all his shows are in the same universe,
Right.
same writer-producer. For a show to come back and not reboot, but come back like it never left the air, Human Target. I mean, I would go to my normal go-to of Firefly, but when I heard what Joss Whedon was going to do in season 2, look it up. We'll discuss it because it's pretty disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't want that to come back because that would have just been horrible. But Human Target was such a fun, great show on Fox, and they canceled after one season because it's Fox.
Give everybody a little bit of a premise of what the Human Target was.
Human Target is based on a comic book, and the character in is
Chance?
Yes, Chance. He can basically imitate anybody and become anything. So if someone needs protection, he'll pretend to either be them or their security team and get them out of jams and scrapes. And it's just a fun, like, almost James Bond-like TV show or comic book, and then the TV show is the same thing. And it was just a fun show.
It had the second Freddy Krueger in it.
Yeah, well, also it had, it was Rorschach.
Yeah. So
And great cast. Chai McBride, who's great in everything he's in.
he is good.
Yeah.
It was but it was another Fox show.
Exactly.
Fox does that. They cancel shows out way too soon. So
Unless they're people singing badly and getting made fun of. And one more, and I would like to see another season of The Mole. That was my favorite reality show.
the Celebrity Mole?
No, just the original Mole. The Mole was there was these group of people, and it was one of them is a spy, and they have to do these spy type things. And if you figure out who the mole is before you're kicked off the show, you win. It's fun.
Well, I was not expecting a reality show.
It was a fun reality show.
Okay.
It was before reality was just rich people complaining about their lives and then identifying as different things.
All right, Brian, what do you got for us? Brian, who doesn't watch a lot of TV anymore.
That it reflects, because at first I was kind of like, oh man, a Golden Girls would be nice, but that's not going to happen. And then WKRP in Cincinnati, Barney Miller. I mean, no.
Well, that's funny that you say that, because WKRP in Cincinnati did get that back in the 90s. They had the new WKRP in Cincinnati. They had the original cast and a new cast.
But I would have liked, something like that. But
Will you stop with the microphone?
Sorry.
recent one, the couple episodes that I was really into was 24 and Sons of Anarchy. So I didn't like how Sons of Anarchy ended. I'd kind of like to see flash forward like 5 years and see what the aftermath was of.
I always
Jack's telling
like 24 always seems like a show they could just bring back whenever they want.
Well, the thing I would love about it now is because of Keith
Kiefer
Sutherland being the what we
Designated Survivor?
Yes, he could come back like, I used to be president, and now boom, like merge them together. That would be
make
awesome.
them in the same universe.
Yeah, that would be sweet. But
Yeah. Okay.
like I said, Gas Monkey's still on. So
I was going to say, it was your choice.
Gas Monkey and Vanilla Ice project is still on, so I'm good. I'm covered.
I was expecting you to say Monster Garage.
I wouldn't mind, but
John, I've been dying to hear
Johnny
yours.
John.
I've been trying to find the Firefly.
Second
Season-
season.
Man,
Season
it's
2.
spreading now. The mic stands are going crazy.
There's a
Virus.
mic.
Must be the humidity also.
My microphone has been perfect.
Two of them I would like to see bring back, and is number one is Jericho. That would be
Yeah, that was a great
that was-
show.
that's my number one.
Did he take yours?
All of us just went crazy except for Brian because Brian never watched
You
Jericho.
watch Jericho? Oh my gosh!
Aaron just passed
had,
out in Texas.
it had a,
so
um,
hyped.
It had a less, I guess, experienced Morgan in it.
Yeah, it did have him in
Yeah, he was in it. It was
Lenny,
cool.
Lenny James, is
Yeah.
that his name? Yeah.
Well, anyways, my thing about it was that the season one was, of course, it was good, or at least it was all right. I mean, it was kind of junky.
For those who don't know, Jericho was a situation where like several nuclear bombs went off in America and wiped out a majority of
And
the
it was,
United States.
and it was a little bit of a sore spot because it came out right after like 9/11, I think, took
Did it?
place, or
It might have.
right in that same vicinity. But then they went away, they took it off. There was a big fan backlash.
Yeah, they
And they-
sent peanuts.
Yeah. and they brought it back for a second season, like on a limited run, second season or something. I can't remember. But the second season, the storyline started getting really cool because what they had is they had this contingency that came in to form this basically what I can't remember exactly what to call themselves, but it was like the North American Union or something along those lines. They'd flip the flag around. But then at the same time, we find out that Texas has seceded from it all and has formed the Republic of Texas. And like on one of the last episodes that you see is they're flying in a helicopter and they get across the airspace of Texas, getting away from this North American Union, and they're picked up by two Republic of Texas F-15s.
Yeah, and
they got the Texas flags on it, I think, and then they just quit. So
that was the last episode. That's how it ended.
I think so.
It was like, "Welcome to Texas, boys,"
or something. Yeah, it was something wild, and it was actually picking up. It was pretty decent, and they just dropped it. So I think it'd be really cool if they came back and they showed it now. Just a couple, whatever it is, 10 years later and see what has happened in the world since this has all come together. Do we have a Republic of Texas and a war between this North American, whatever they were called, Union or whatever it was, or see how we've picked up the pieces of that? I don't think it would. You can't put shows like that. In my view, you can't put shows like that on CBS. These are Prime or Netflix shows because they get better runs on those type of things. I did get my wish on one show that they would do a reboot on and bring back, and of course it's not really a new character since we're staying outside of parameters. Lost in Space. They did put that back on Netflix, and it's actually really good. First season was excellent. I'm trying to think if there's anything else out there that I was thinking of. Come back around if we're gonna do it again because I'm
sure we can come back around.
Yeah.
I guess this is almost also could be like a shows we wish had been longer. There was a TV show called Life that had Damian Lewis in it.
Yeah, that was a great one too.
And went 2 seasons long. He was just a regular beat cop that got framed for his friend's murder, and he got sentenced to life. And then he got freed once the evidence came out as free, and he sued the city. Became a millionaire, and part of his settlement was that he could become a detective. And he had been studying Zen and all this stuff, and so he came out of prison, but still had a lot of the prison to him, but also was changed. And it was a really good show. I really liked it. It went 2 seasons. I'd love to see how that picked back up. I'm going to go a little cliche here. I would not mind seeing, even if it was a limited run, some kind of Friends, for my wife's sake, and Brian's sake. Brian loves Friends. Just to see where everybody is and see what's going. See everybody at the coffee house.
Gunter.
Gunter. Just see how Gunter's doing. That's all I really want to see. But I also thought about if they redid or brought back Seinfeld, could they do it? I don't think they could. I don't think they could anymore because you go back and watch that show, and I think a lot of those subjects are too...
They're very taboo nowadays.
It's very taboo nowadays. It would be almost borderline offensive.
And on top of that, everything that wasn't offensive was just boring.
Well, and that's... I sat down and talked about Seinfeld. We were watching... running through channels one night, and it somehow wound up on, I don't know, one of those WGNs or something.
Yeah.
And they had one on there, and they were talking, and they kept coming back. And I think the thing about it was the gag that was going on in the show was that him and George were homosexual.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Wrong
and
with
it's
that.
exactly what was going on. I mean, Carl, we were sitting there watching that, and I said, in the modern climate, there's no way they could even pull that joke anymore. And I don't think the show could work because it based itself on that type of humor throughout it.
There's a lot of Friends episodes now that wouldn't work in the modern day. As I watch it every night with my wife, as we're going to sleep, I usually go to sleep and Friends is on and she's watching it. There's a lot of Friends episodes that wouldn't work in the modern day because it's funny how it was not really considered taboo or risque the way they did it back then, but now it would be. Some of the stuff would be offensive. So I think that's interesting. Anybody else have any other shows you were thinking of you'd like to? Aaron, anything else besides The Muppet Show? I really thought, you would bring it, Aaron.
I was going to say Almost Human was a great show.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Almost. It was Judge Dredd, the new Dredd, Carl Urban. And
Keith's brother.
He had a Keith Irwin's brother. He had a android partner, and they were.
Oh yeah,
on
it
the
was
police
Alien
force.
Nation, but with robots instead of aliens.
And it
with
had a
giant
big
heads.
twist at the end, and it got canceled.
What was the twist?
That robot was an alien.
Aaron, what was the twist? That the robots were evil or something?
It was something with John Larroquette. I
Yeah,
don't
John
remember.
Larroquette was in it.
So they end up having to work the night court. Is that what happened?
Rest in peace. Here.
Him and
Something
Paul
like
Walker
that.
up here racing.
I did have a second one.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
I do too, actually.
It's
oh,
one of my.
Brian's got a second.
It's a
one.
very. It was a very good at its time. I don't know how well it worked now because you look at it. I watched it on Netflix. Some kind of chintzy. It's sci-fi. Is being human. Where the ghost, the vampire, and the werewolf all living in the same house.
Yeah,
I couldn't get past like the 7th episode.
Oh,
I really
I
enjoyed it. But the
I
fact that
binged that show.
the werewolf that like turned him was so Canadian, I couldn't get past his accent.
So
Like he was more Canadian.
Oh,
than
why'd you
maple
quit
syrup.
watching that show? Because that one character was so.
Everything was a
So
boot of the boot,
Canadian.
and it's a boot time. You learned about a boot, how to be a boot vampire, a boot.
Our listenership in Quebec just dropped by.
No offense to you guys,
Or Toronto.
but I mean, it's like if I came up to Toronto and was like, "Hey, y'all, let's go play some hockey and have some Tim Hortons." Woot!
Tim Hortons, that's a good reference.
Thank you.
It's a really good reference.
Well, anyways, but the show was. I liked it. I mean, it got a little bit. I mean, it had its cliche-ish moments and stuff, but the characters all worked, and it was a good chemistry within the characters. I just like to see how they would do it nowadays. I don't think it would only work if you had those same characters and the same actors doing it. And
But that's the whole premise, is that on these type situations, it is the same actors coming back to play the same roles. So yeah, I think so. I mean, I left off Firefly because I would love to see Firefly come back, but I also feel like that's always every kind of nerd is. I want Firefly. back."
Actually,
Stop.
well, okay, well let's throw this parameter out there then. Let's say that we get what we want, not whatever creepy thing Josh Whedon wanted to do. I mean that would be
well, then
You
yes, but
yeah. I mean, I would love to have seen several more seasons where they were out on the Firefly, or I'm sorry,
Serenity.
Serenity.
It's a
going
Firefly
around.
class,
I know.
especially.
It just, but and they made the movie. Spoiler, Brian, close your ears. You haven't seen it. They killed off, half their cast, which put a bow on it and all that. So they really couldn't. But I would have loved to have seen some more episodes of that. But Brian, you said you had another one, man.
Given my line of work, I would love to see The Office come back.
oh
yeah, Office would be.
yes.
That's a
Aaron,
special
did you
place.
ever watch The Office?
Not really.
Yeah, me either.
I did. We
You
watched
gotta-
it all
you
the
gotta
time.
get- You
It's
got to
so-
get past the first season. The first season is kind of
it was slow.
a drudge to watch, and then in season 2, when they realized they weren't going to be canceled, they got into the actual funny parts of it.
Yeah.
But
It's so
in
good.
the reboot,
so
though, or in the remake of it, you got to have Steve Carell's character come back,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Not
Because
necessarily.
the show wasn't as good without Carell. I've always heard.
Well, it had its moments.
It had great character. It wasn't that he was gone, but some of the characters they brought in to replace him were really terrible.
Yeah.
Now the characters that were still good were still there, and they were great. But it wasn't that it wasn't as good without him. It wasn't as good with the other people.
The when they had the interim between managers and they had all the bigger name actors would come in and do it. They had Will Ferrell, Jim Carrey. Several of them came in and just did 1 or 2 episode spots.
Your favorite, what's his name? Red from
70s
James
show?
Spader.
Yes,
James Spader was on
Spader
it.
did
Oh.
one. Yeah,
Ultron.
Ultron.
Ultron
Yes.
came in.
Yeah, it was cool.
Oh, that was you just said his name, and that reminded me of Boston Legal. That was a show we used to
Oh,
watch. That was
with William Shatner?
Yeah,
That was a good one.
It was
Like-
good.
My mom loved Shocker. My mom loved that show.
Let's bring back T.J. Hooker.
Tim, did you have another one?
I didn't. I mean,
I've got a couple more.
Oh,
Oh,
got
now we're
two
now
as
we're
well.
talking.
go ahead, Aaron. Go ahead.
There was that show. I think it was on ABC Family, Middleman.
Oh, that was a good show. It was based off a comic book. Where
Yeah, that was a good show.
Surprise.
he the guy he was training a new trainee, and they were like kind of behind the scenes, always taking out things that were going to take out the world, and it was kind of a comedy type thing. It was okay.
Yeah, and then one that's super obscure that was on USA was Manhattan AZ. I really like that show.
That was a really weird show, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it was about a cop who went to it was like Mayberry on crack, basically.
Sounds
was a
like
really
your
screw
show,
show.
Aaron.
Yeah, it was great.
Well, thanks, Aaron. Thanks for bringing the weird. That's what we count on you for.
No problem.
So we're about to take a break, but before we do, anybody have any other last shows they'd like to throw in there?
Charlie has
Homicide: Life on the Streets. I loved that show. Didn't get enough credit.
All right.
And the original Law and Order, not Special Victims Unit, not Criminal Intent, the real Law.
Like
and
with
Order.
Briscoe and
Well,
he's
rest
dead
in
now.
peace.
Yeah. But wasn't the
Yeah,
one
just-
guy with the big ears? He was on the original Law and Order, right?
Wow.
It's
The Ferengi were not on the original Law and
Not
Order.
the
That's Deep
Ferengi.
Space Nine.
and
the
we're
guy
going
with
to
the
the
glasses.
The size of the ears you had were like that size.
His
of your
ears are that
hand.
big.
time for.
I got one last one
All
for
right,
me.
one last one.
It's old show, old school, mid '90s from Fox. It was a show called Space Above and Beyond.
Yes.
You remember that?
Yes,
I thought I was
do.
the only one ever watched it.
Aaron,
I
you
thought
watched
you were
it,
going to
right?
go with like Double Dare. Or
No, I
something
didn't
like
watch
that.
it.
Double Dare's
I watched
coming
Earth
back.
too.
If you want to see it, Charlie,
Ooh.
I got the
Hey,
whole
dude, back.
series on DVD.
Ooh, Aaron just dropped Earth 2. Did anybody else watch Earth 2?
Yeah, I liked Earth 2.
With Tim Curry and the guy that played the bad
Clancy
guy.
Brown.
There you go, in Highlander. Also, he's Mr. Krabs off of SpongeBob. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about more TV and movie stuff. We're going to talk about TV and movie scenes that either traumatized us or scared us as children
Oh my gosh.
to this day. John, when I mentioned it, started giggling right away. And we both said almost the same exact thing. There is a certain movie and certain scene. But take a break with us, come right back, and we will get to talking about what messed us up as kids. I wish you could hear the buffer music, Aaron. You missed out on this.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Five Live Bears podcast. John, what do you call that wonderful piece you wrote?
That's bumper one.
Bumper one.
They don't
Was
have
that all
names.
bumper one?
No, bumper 1, 2, 3, and 4. That one there actually is one that I sat down there and actually played all the notes on. That was
Yeah.
I played all the instruments. Other ones are kind of mixes of some
Mm-hmm.
different things.
Yeah.
A couple of them are my originals, but that one there, everything you heard there I actually played. Of course,
Is
it's on
there
GarageBand,
anything
so.
you have to do special to get in the mood to write your songs?
Uh,
Take your shoes off or anything
no.
like that?
Usually
Do
it's
you
just
listen to Madonna for inspiration?
no. It's usually me just sitting down here in the basement, like thinking, okay, what type of new bumper music can I put together for the podcast? And then just gonna slap it together.
Oh, I was hoping there was some kind of like.
There's no muse.
Can you play that song I love so much? The bumper music that.
Oh, hey guys, we're going with another bumper
Let
song.
me see if I can
Yeah.
find it here. I don't know which one it is.
We'll just act like this never started. And
I
we'll
think it's
come
the
right
first
back
one.
in.
No, we're good. We'll keep going. That's it.
Is this it?
See, I like the one he played the last podcast.
It was good too, but I like this one a whole lot.
Anyways, here on Five Live Bears tonight, we just finished talking about TV shows we would have liked to have seen come back. Aaron got us all with the Muppet Show, so that was tops there. But as always, leave in the comments any shows you would love to see rebooted and brought
Or
back,
how much, or how hot Charlie's couch
or
dancing
just
was
how
right
hot
then.
Charlie's couch dance was. Hashtag
Hashtag
Jughead.
I'm offended.
Jughead.
Brian's
Anyways,
Brian's been sitting there long enough. His knee socks have gone down.
Down.
Or ankle socks.
they started
Yeah.
out as calf socks, now they're ankle socks. But anyways, we're going to spend this next part of the podcast talking about moments from our childhood, which from TV. So this could be a certain scene in a movie. It could be a whole episode, just something from our childhood, from a TV or movie that traumatized us. So we'll go around the room as we always do. I said this to John earlier. John started laughing. He said two words, which I instantly agreed with him. One of the most scary moments. Stop with unsolved mysteries, okay?
No, we're done.
Just stop it.
Figure it out.
I will leave the show. All right, John,
What's that?
let's start with you. Moments from your childhood.
Oh
TVs
my
or
goodness!
movies?
Well, there's several. We can go around the horn several times with this because I
I have a couple, yeah.
was a absolute coward of a kid, and it was just everything on television scared me. But I remember one time, and I can remember this vividly, because my family, and we do our Halloween shows that we do every year. We have this open discussion about my mom and dad. Not my dad isn't, but my mom is like openly into the paranormal type of stuff. My aunts and stuff are. So ghosts and things of that nature have always been part of our family. Well, my grandparents, my mom's parents, lived in a house on Southern Parkway, and it was of course the house was reputed to be haunted, but that's not the scary part.
Every house on Southern Parkway.
Yeah, every house on Southern Parkway's got a ghost. There's not a house on there that was like built before like 1920 or something. They're all old.
And they came with their own ghost back
Yeah,
then.
they all the Victorian age.
Everybody
they all,
died in those houses.
But one Halloween we went over there, I remember was when my sister was little, and we were went over there to take her over there, and it was dark, it was late, and I was probably about 6. And local television, and he's still around today. He's a journalist here in Louisville. His name is Brian Crawford. He does Courier Journal things, some of his articles, and he did a show, and it was about ghosts. I mean, it was just it was Halloween, so he's doing local ghost haunts and stuff like that. And what I remember is I'm sitting there watching it, and it wasn't nothing real spooky, it was just him talking. Well, they get to the end of the show, and there's this hallway, and at the end of the hallway there's a staircase, and it would look just like my grandparents' staircase. And at the top of the staircase, there's just this sheet, like a sheet ghost just standing there at the top of the stairs, just standing there. And it absolutely
Petrified you.
terrified me to death. I wouldn't go upstairs in their house after that forever. And it literally traumatized me. I'm thinking about it right now, and it's like, oh,
I
gosh.
never would have thought you would have started off with a local news broadcast.
I know, but I know it's not exactly
it's funny
within
how things like that really stick
yeah,
with you, though.
it's not within the parameters of what we were going to talk
It
about.
works. It
But it
works.
still works.
What was
that's
his name again?
Bryant Crawford, I think his name
Or
was.
was it Eric Crawford?
No, Eric
Eric's
He's Eric
sports
Crawford.
guy.
Eric Sports.
All right. Anyways, that's a good one. Sticks with you. Do you
I
still
believe,
get? Do you,
if
do
I
you
said his
still-
name wrong or got his first name wrong, I apologize. But
he's a listener. He's upset.
yeah, no, he's probably.
Brian, moments from TVs or movies that scared you.
So obviously we've talked about my unsolved mysteries like that. Still can't handle that.
Still can't handle it.
Like if they rebooted that show, I'd be.
Charlie tagged me in the post this week
Me
on
too.
Facebook.
I mean, I didn't get tagged, but I saw that post and was like, "Oh,
hate you.
now I'm not going to
He
sleep."
wrote untag.
yeah.
Yeah, that one was pretty scary. But the one movie I remember, I think it was high school though, was The Green Mile, when the one deputy or whatever didn't wet the sponge, and that man literally
Percy.
he didn't wet it, and then they electrocuted the one guy. The screaming in that literally was like, still to this day I can't watch that movie again.
Which movie is that?
The Green
The
Mile.
Green
Oh,
Mile,
yeah,
where the guy
that's-
gets electrocuted.
that's
Like,
intense.
that was just so disturbing to me about it. But as far as like being scared, the one, I don't know whichever one it was, there's one Freddy Krueger movie that we were seeing part of it, and it was like you can check in but you can't check out. That little scene where they like turned into bugs or something like that.
The cockroach. That was in part 5, I believe.
Yeah, that I was like, okay, that's freaky.
I think I've shared this before, but there's a 4-hour documentary about Friday the 13th films. I've only seen the first Friday the 13th movie, but I've seen that documentary 7 times.
Mm.
It's perfect background music. You can just turn it
Sounds
on,
like you.
let it go.
I'm gonna drop one real quick. Aaron and I were scarred from this. At least I thought Aaron was too, but maybe he can chime in. In Pee Wee Herman's movie, the Large Marge scene.
That's mine.
The
Yeah.
very first time, tell them Large Marge sent you, and she turns and makes that face. Holy cow! I couldn't watch that scene. Like, I loved watching that movie as a kid, but every time that scene happened, I would turn my face. I could not watch that scene. Large Marge. Aaron, you were petrified of that also, right?
Oh yeah, that's terrifying.
Yeah. And earlier when we were talking about it, John dropped a Large Marge on me, and it almost scared me half to death.
The only real quick, the
Large
only
Marge.
other one that I had was Tales from the Crypt,
Really?
Yeah.
Tales from the
because
Crypt.
those were those kind of stories like that example you gave, I think, upstairs, where it was like your dream is like you're at a bookstore, that's all you would ever want at the end of the world, but
Oh,
you
that
break your glasses.
was Aaron,
and,
yeah.
that kind of thing. Yeah, that's
Yeah. All right. Aaron, what do you got for us?
When I was real little, I guess mom and dad were watching Poltergeist or something, and it was like the scene where the trees were. I still haven't ever seen the movie, but the scene where I guess the trees attack the house or something.
They try to eat
And that-
the little boy.
Yeah, that freaked me out, And so anytime I see trees that come alive, like in Wizard of Oz or anything, that. And then later when I saw Evil Dead, trees. Yeah, I don't do trees.
That's a really bad scene.
Mm.
Yeah.
Trees. I didn't know.
Yeah, it's just
Aaron, I've been your brother for 37 years now, and I never knew you were
Well, I'm-
scared of trees.
You're
I'm fine
37.
with trees outside, except they
37.
start moving.
Yeah, but you have been his brother the whole time. You weren't alive.
I said I've been your brother for 37 years.
He's older than 37. Aaron is older than 37.
But you're 37, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Boom! Knowledge
couple-
drop just
Wow.
happened,
35,
folks.
36.
We had a
I wish I
documentary.
was, but anyways, Charlie,
It would be Large Marge, definitely. But apparently, and I know this because I've been told this story 4,000 times. Apparently, when I was a very young child and saw E.T., I was so frightened that I put the popcorn box over my eyes and wouldn't watch it at all. I was like trying to peek through the slits in the bottom of the box. Don't remember it, but apparently it's a thing that happened.
it's a cute story from your childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then okay, I don't know what it's from. I don't remember. It was a commercial on WDRB, and it was I don't know if it was a Western or a horror film, but they used to show this commercial late at night all the time. And there was this woman walking into a barn, and something came, like a whip came through and like smacked her across the face, and she ran off screaming. Don't know what it's from. Had nightmares for years. It still scares me. thinking about it.
WDRB used to show some weird
On Fright Night, yeah.
garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, it was some crap movies, but it was some scary stuff on there. Another one that traumatized me as a kid, and I was just now thinking about it, is they used to show these old, and I'm talking about from like the mid 60s, almost like I don't want to really call them an Italian horror movie, but it was kind of in that same vein. It was just these weird movies.
Cheap B movies.
Yeah. And there was this one, and it was absolutely terrifying. It was this old woman, and she was, one of them kind of, as they would call them back, an old maid type. And she was just all mean and horrible. And these kids, and it was supposed to be like it's on Halloween or something. And they kept coming up to her door, and they kept knocking on the door trying to get candy. She's like, "Yo, get off my porch," and blah blah blah. And then they ring the doorbell again, and blah 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 blah. And so finally, eventually, I remember she opens the door. She's like, "I told you to get off my porch." And she starts throwing like, I don't know, candy at them or something. Well, she shuts the door and she goes back in the kitchen, and she turns around, and all three of them are standing there in the kitchen with her. She's like, "How'd you get in my house?" And they like pull their masks off, but their mouths open up, and it's like they're like insects.
Predators?
And they like eat her. And she's like, I was like, whoa. That was creepy.
Parents letting you watch, man.
Because my mom was
Sounds like Tales from the Dark Side or something.
It may have been. I don't know, but it was one of them weird things. And then one time, my cousins were over, and we were, I don't know, 12, maybe 11, and we were spazzes. I mean, it was like we were just all going nuts. And my mom finally got tired of it. She's like, "Sit down and watch this movie." And so she made us all sit in the basement, and she clicked on WDRB, of course, I think it was like on a Saturday afternoon. And what should be on? And she went back upstairs. She told us not to move. We were to watch the movie. It was a movie called Devil Dog, The Hound from Hell. And it was absolutely
Aaron's rolling.
the most terrifying movie ever. And I wouldn't go around dogs for like months after that. And my cousin, shout out to Stephanie, my cousin, she told my mom, I mean, like a year ago, she's like, "I still traumatized by that movie you made us watch." We were all cowered up together, holding on to each other in the basement. And this dog's on there, got like the devil in him. He's like, it was horrible, traumatizing.
I remember when I was a teenager, I went through this period of just watching like a horror film every weekend. Like either Doug or Brian or somebody would stay the night, and we were just watching stupid, scary movies. Some of them were good. We watched this movie, and I think Aaron and his wife Andrew were there, and I don't know if either were there. We watched this movie called The Mangler.
Yeah.
and it was about a piece of machinery
It mangles people.
that would mangle people, and it was
and
like a
it's-
folding machine, and people would get stuck in it, and it would fold them up. And that movie messed me up, man. Just
You dropped your lifelong goal of being a T-shirt folder at the Gap.
I
because
couldn't
of that
watch
film.
that movie anytime anybody got near that machinery because I was like, oh my gosh, they're gonna get folded up. I don't have a fear of being folded up, but if I ever get around
You're
giant
fear
machinery,
of seeing people get folded.
yes, that movie
You're,
messed me
you're
up.
empathetic. It makes sense. You feel
say-
for them.
Did you say empathetic or just pathetic?
I said empathetic.
Okay, thanks.
Without the
You're
ear.
an
All right.
empath.
Aaron.
I've got one that I know scared Tim when we were kids. Is Superman 3.
Oh,
yes,
my
yes.
The
God.
robot. Yes, the robot woman in Superman 3. Horrible.
I am still scarred by that.
That was absolutely
Brian, are
the
you familiar
worst.
with that scene?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
Oh.
Aaron,
I
describe
only
it.
saw, I think, Superman 1.
That's
I
probably
don't
what
remember what the machine was supposed to do, but
It was a
like,
computer. It was a
yeah,
supercomputer.
but she got too close to it, and it was supposed to make a weapon. And all these like metal tendrils started wrapping around her, pulling her in, and turning her into a cyborg. And it was just.
And if you watch
super
it now,
creepy.
it's really not that great of.
It still creeps me out,
but
man.
it still creeps me out.
It is,
Oh my!
yeah,
you have to
it's-
watch that scene.
It makes your skin crawl.
Okay, this is a scene that wasn't scary, but it just stuck with me all these years after watching Never Ending Story and watching his horse
Oh my
die
gosh, that
in the
stupid horse.
swamp of despair or whatever it was because it just gave up and its will. When I
Heart
was
attacks.
when I was a kid, that scene really upset me because that horse, he's trying so hard.
That
it
horse
just-
doesn't try hard.
Shut up,
That
John.
horse could have gone a little bit farther.
I think that's why I hate that movie so much.
Oh my gosh,
it was
this was
just so depressing.
It was
Was it depressing?
bad.
And the acting was terrible.
You shut your mouth about Never Ending
I mean,
Story.
there is one great shining thing about that movie, and that's Gerald McCraney's in it, but just not enough.
Brian, do you have any other ones?
No, I'm watching the cyborg scene right
Oh,
now.
he's watching the Superman 3.
Yeah, it's,
Okay.
that's yeah, glad I didn't see that.
yeah, imagine seeing that as like a 6-year-old.
No, I'm good.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's
Hey, you watch Superman? You like superheroes? Oh!
But here's Richard
Watch
Pryor.
that movie. We just rented it.
Shut up and watch it.
Down at the
Betamax.
This is really obscure, and I don't even know if Aaron remembers it. There was an old cartoon show about a bear, like a bear family.
The Hair Bear Bunch?
It was called Kissy Fur,
Yeah.
and there was an episode about quicksand where they got stuck in quicksand, and I got so scared of quicksand and thought that I was going to get caught in quicksand for like the longest time, and that it was the stupidest cartoon. But yeah, I still kind of inside have a fear of quicksand, even though I know it's not entirely accurate as it shows. Because on Kissy Fur, they got stuck in the quicksand. Aaron, do you remember that at all? Or am I crazy?
I remember the cartoon. I don't remember specifically that moment though.
Oh.
I remember you've mentioned it here before. I don't know if it was off air or on air, but you've mentioned it before. 'Cause I was
Kissy
like,
Fur.
why is it about Kissy Fur? And then
Quicksand, man. Telling you. But anyways, anybody else around the room?
Yeah.
Oh,
Have any of y'all seen Watership Downs?
about the rabbits attacking each other?
Yes. I don't know why we watched that when we were kids. I think Mom rented it for us or something.
Didn't
and
realize it.
because there's a time when
Yeah.
parents think that anything animated is for children, and it is not.
It was not.
that's still a messed up movie.
Something that freaked me out as a kid didn't scare me per se, like because it was scary. It scared me because it was creepy. Do you remember USA Up All Night when Captain USA was the host?
No, I only remember it when the
Rhonda Shear, yeah. Do you remember
Rhonda Shear
Captain
and Gilbert
USA?
Godfrey.
John, do you remember Captain USA?
Vaguely.
He was an older dude that wore like a domino mask and smoked a cigar, and he was like overweight and had like a superhero costume on. And he was just depressed. It was just creepy.
Yeah, I
It
do
was-
remember
it was-
that now.
It was before USA Up All Night. It was when USA Up All Night was all like Toxic Avenger and action films, and not the inappropriate things that none of us watched because we were good Christian young men.
Nope.
Changed the channel when Rhonda Shear came on.
Yep.
What was so freaky about that?
It was just weird. It was just off-putting.
Okay.
It was like the I'd buy that for $1 guy in RoboCop.
it's a really weird
Wow.
reference. Wow.
He creeped me out too.
I'm going to close it out. Brian referenced it earlier. Unsolved Mysteries is the most traumatizing thing from my childhood. That
Yes.
song
I still
still
remember
creeps me out.
specific episodes of it. I
Update.
still remember.
I hated when they had updates because it was always near my house. I felt like, update, last seen on Scrimshaw Drive. That's where I live.
It was.
Oh my
It's all
gosh.
in Florida.
It was
Well,
always in Florida.
everything's in
And that's
Florida.
where I was. It was that movie or that TV show. And I don't know why we always watched it.
Because
It-
we had 6 channels.
It
and that was only on.
petrified me, but we always watched it, and I always watched it with them, even though it scared me.
It was like, I think, wasn't Unsolved Mysteries one of them Saturday night shows you watched before you went to church on Sunday
Yes.
morning? or
It
something?
was Cops and America's Most Wanted and Unsolved Mysteries
Yeah,
were the big Saturday night.
Because I remember we always went and got White Castles or Little Caesars and then watched Cops.
we watched so many TV shows like America's Most Wanted and Unsolved Mysteries about people being killed, like in real life. No wonder we're all messed up, at an older age, because all we did was watch shows about killers and murderers.
As you do.
2020.
Oh my goodness.
Date.
All right, but
Baba-
so those
Baba
are
waffles.
moments from our childhood that messed us up from TVs or movies. There was one other one involving this movie called Critters.
Yeah.
That movie.
Oh yeah,
that-
that messed me up.
I used to like hide under a table when I watched that movie. I don't know why. Little porcupine, little creature.
Critters are faded tables, of course.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that.
Exactly. It worked at my grandma's house. All right. Anyways,
Especially grandma's tables.
especially grandma tables. Before we leave for tonight, the new movie Solo is about to come out, and we thought we'd give our final expectations on Solo before it comes out. We hope next time we get together that we've all seen it. We all get to talk about it. Charlie probably won't, but final thoughts on Solo, John.
It's looking better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get. I'm going to do I'm taking the Brian philosophy on this thing. I'm going to go into it with zero expectation. Had very high expectations for Rogue One. Was pleased with it. I like Star Wars Episode 9. I watched a little bit of it this evening before y'all came over. And
Was it the scene where he's not wearing his shirt?
no, I didn't get that far yet.
Were you
And that's-
standing there without a shirt on?
Well, as soon as I
Without
know
a
it,
shirt on?
as soon as I know that scene's coming up, I take my shirt off in anticipation.
You pretend you're him.
Stand down here with my pants pulled up to over my belly button and hold
That meme you sent.
Susie.
Yes, get this minor shirt.
Susie's got a
Doesn't matter.
Susie's got a Kylo Ren lightsaber, and I bring it down here and just stand here and wait. No,
Spray yourself with like a mist, like you're sweaty.
well, in all seriousness, I'm going to go into it with no expectations because I really don't think that there's any expectations to be had for it. I mean, I'm avoiding things online like the plague now because everything's like Rotten Tomatoes says it's this and people say it's that, and I don't want to be Charlie with it and accidentally watch it, the spoilers and know what's going on. Not that we don't know what's going on because the whole thing is a spoiler. I mean,
Right.
it's Han Solo's life, and so it ain't really going
the
into
preview
anything.
where Chewbacca looks like he's about to die, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, he doesn't
Okay,
die.
well,
He's
we know that ain't
Chewbacca.
going to happen. But I'll be interested in see some of the backstory on that because it's just I'm a backstory guy. I like to see the past, see what this person did or how
Right.
they became to be who they are. At the same time, sometimes that the best thing about Star Wars has always been the mystique,
Right,
and you don't know the stories. You got to make them up in your own head.
taking away the mystery.
And and that kind of gets to me. But I mean, there was a article out the other day that was talking about the possibility of them doing a Lando movie, which would
Yep.
be pretty cool if they were ever to decide to do that.
Yep. Charlie,
I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if it's going to be the best thing ever, but I think that I'll enjoy at least parts of it.
good popcorn flick.
Yeah, I mean, and Lando looks awesome in it, and
He
get to
does.
see his backstory. It looks interesting to see him and Han as friends, you know, kind of ish. So, and then Woody Harrelson's just fantastic and everything. So I'm looking forward to that. Only problem is the girl,
Emilia Clarke,
huh?
the girl from Game of Thrones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And why is it that I have a problem with her?
Game of Thrones.
Exactly.
She's pretty decent in everything else I've ever seen her. Susie made us sit down and watch that.
The one where she's marrying the guy that's dying or whatever.
The guy who can't move anything below the neck. I can't remember the name of it.
Before you or
Yeah.
after you or
When you with Marie or something.
when you push my wheelchair, whatever. It's
I can't remember the name of it. I wasn't going to go
Wow.
that far, but That's why we have you on the
I
podcast.
just made Brian's socks.
It's
raise
my
up.
bitterness. That's why I'm in the podcast. Not because we've
All
been
right.
friends for decades, because I'll say all
Not
the
because
really
you're his
hateful
brother-in-law.
things.
Brian.
I actually have no interest right now in it.
Ooh.
What?
Yeah. Like you don't interest in
Like
you're
I'm not
gonna
ex-
see
like
it,
I'm not
or
ex-
you-
I'm just not excited about
okay.
it. It's not like how it was for Rogue One or for The Last Jedi before it totally disappointed me. But, I'm just.
We can watch it down here again. You can.
Maybe it'll get better like Black Panther did. I don't know, but
Oh.
it's just the solo movie.
Wakanda ouch.
Did we just name this?
Yes.
What? That just happened.
This is the Wakanda couch.
no.
Brian went falsetto.
But no, I just.
Ron was
just-
like, "Woo,
absolutely.
liking it."
Yeah. I just don't. I'm not interested for it. I'll see it because it's a Star Wars movie, but
Well,
my expectations are below zero on it.
the thing about it with me is that the way I'm looking at it is this is going to be one of them type things where we can, pass some time. It's not like I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go see it, because our plan is to be in Bowling Green. I don't have my Bowling Green thing set up here. We're going down the farm on Memorial Day weekend, and that's when it comes out.
There you
So
go.
the ideal is, I told Susie, so she's like, I'm going to go over into the mall. I'm going to go to the mall because she loves the mall over there. So, all right, well, we'll go to the mall, but then to blow some time, we'll just go see Solo. So that's what we'll probably do, because we'll be down there all weekend, and it's like, well, if we get to see it down there, we get to see it. So
All right, Aaron.
I have a lot of concerns about it with all the changes behind the scenes with the directors, and I wasn't too impressed with Last Jedi, so I'm just kind of, we'll see.
Kind of seems to be the overall approach of everybody. We'll wait and see. I'm really excited about Donald Glover. By the way, I had a good discussion with my friend this past week that did not realize that Donald Glover is not Danny Glover's son. So FYI, he is not. But I'm excited about Donald Glover. I've said this on here. I'm a little bit of a fanboy of his. I loved him in Community. Great show. And,
I know you like that show.
is that sarcasm?
Yes.
I got it this time.
I really love that show.
But I'm excited about him. The previews in him look great. Chewbacca's always great. I do like Vision. Paul Bettany. I've said it from the beginning. My biggest concern about the Han Solo movie
Is Han Solo.
is Han Solo.
But he looks better in the trailers that they've put out recently.
He does, but
Is it better because it's better, or better because that was so bad and we want it to be better?
Yes.
Is it revisionist history?
I don't know. 'Cause, it's hard to. I mean, but it's hard to get anybody to be to replace Harrison Ford, basically. But you just think they could have got somebody better. I mean, somebody that they didn't have to teach how to act on set. But I guess we'll see.
that's a rumor.
John,
He's going to be awesome.
Star Wars Apologist. Anyway,
Yeah, definitely. Star Wars apologist. I'll say it. I don't care.
So Solo, check it out or don't. It's up to you. But that is our show for tonight. But Charlie, I do have a Would You Rather card just for you.
Oh, I'm sure.
Just
Is this the discussion we had off the podcast? Please don't let it be.
Would you rather?
would you rather?
Yay!
Okay.
Charlie, would you rather have your ears where your eyebrows are, or have your nose where your belly button is?
Ooh,
I'm going to say eyebrow ears,
that'd be interesting.
and I'm not going to expound on it.
You don't want to expound on it?
Nope.
Not going to talk about why you wouldn't
Nope.
want your nose where your belly button is.
Well,
Not at all.
Nope.
wait till we go around the horn. It'll be my turn in a second.
John?
We got 3 minutes. Go for it, bud.
I would prefer to have the nose where the belly button is.
What in the world?
I won't go any farther than that.
Thank you.
You're not even going to explain why?
Well, it'd be easy to cover up. Just be this little nibby down here under your shirt. And you could,
It's an Audi.
yeah, it's just like, hey, it's just a nibby. And
Nippy.
you could really,
What with his own name?
when you work with middle schoolers, they could really use that. I mean, there's yep. It's time to Time to freshen up there, guys.
So done.
Wow.
This is over.
Wow.
You asked, okay? So I said it.
Question. Tim.
Alrighty, Aaron.
Eyebrows, ears, whatever.
Earbrows?
Bro.
Yeah,
No,
earbrows.
no. Just
But
bring your
could
belly
you
button
could
down.
you hear yourself blinking every moment? Would that drive you
No,
insane?
you can't hear yourself blinking your ear.
But if your ears are right here.
We've got 1 minute.
All right. Anyways,
Brian,
Brian.
did you
Eyebrow ears. Just to wrap this
Yeah.
thing up. This
All right,
is-
guys. So you can find us on SoundCloud. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on the YouTubes. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. Please leave a review. Please let us know about the eyebrow ears. And also, please, 5 stars.
Check out
And-
John's website, Nibby.
And don't forget Google Play, which is where I listen to the podcast at.
Well,
Thank you, guys.
You know, there's this. You can
Oh
just
my god.
Sorry, Brent.
I'll see you later, players.
if you wear.
Aaron.
Bring back Hey Dude.
Yes.
Yes! Aaron, why didn't you bring up Hey Dude earlier?
And